What skills do you feel actually matter in design today? If someone to get in design, what would you recommend they kind of get into and make sure that they harness and sharpen to make sure that they can be successful in your industry?
I would say fundamentals are key, 100%. The golden ratio and the rule of thirds and all that, those never go away. Those will always apply in design. And I think a lot of new designers starting out fail or struggle to get going because they just focus on the current design trend, or like they focus on aesthetics, and there's more to it than that. You can make something look cool all day. How does it stand across time? Will it last? Will it fall apart, a year from now? So a lot of them miss that mark. I would say just the fundamentals are huge.
Welcome back to the MARWOC pod for another Wealth Ops Wednesday, where we focus on the 5 F's in here, guys. We got family, faith, fitness, finance, all to help create your definition of the 5th F, which is freedom. Remember, MARWOC is built for 2 things. One, to use our stories of success as a stepping stone to lift you higher in every part of your business journey. And 2, to make sure Marines in any climate place have a unit that they can check into, because no matter what you are facing, you will always have a place at our seat, at our table, to be able to break bread. So, separate cash flow, devil dogs. Now let's dive into a good one. We got a really fun one today. I need you guys to be able to lock in, because tonight's guest isn't just a graphic designer. Okay, he's a United States Marine who learned visual storytelling when he was under fire, brother. From 2009 to 2014, he served as combat camera with 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines, deploying to Helmand Province of Afghanistan. While most people were worried about, lighting and angles in an office, he was documenting combat operations in a war zone, preserving history while rounds were flying. The pressure built discipline. That discipline built skill, and that skill turned into a pretty badass business. So after the Corps, he took that same mindset into industrial design, earned his degree, and didn't chase trends or shortcuts. In 2024, he founded the Old Breed Design Company, a studio built on craftsmanship, authenticity, and Marine Corps standards. Today, he works with clients across the United States and Canada, building brands that actually freaking mean something. He's got some pretty badass stuff that we're going to share with you. So this is exactly what MARWOC is about, you guys. No guru bullshit, right? No motivational noise. Just Marines who master the skill, bet on themselves, and execute it. So put some respect on his name. Welcome to MARWOC. Welcome, Robbie Walters, brother. How you doing, man?
Good, good. Happy to be here.
I love that.
Just found out about MARWOC not too long ago, and it's been fun ever since. It's definitely good to be back around that mindset and community.
Dude, it is, right? And the cool thing about jumping into this is why I love the community piece, because you were recommended by a buddy, right? You jumped on in here, and now we got some stuff cooking, which we're going to get into. And that's kind of what I love. That's kind of what I love about the Marine Corps community. It's so sticky, right? Once you know somebody holds a title, it's like a different sense of rapport. You know what I mean? It's like, this guy gets it. Like we're just there. You know what I mean? And I love that. I love that you and I were able to dive right into it, man.
Yeah, it's been a great start so far, and love the mindset. That I think the potential for MARWOC is huge, and I think it's going to do great things. And happy to play a tiny part in it.
It's gonna be a big part, brother. It's gonna be a big part. But we'll dive into that. I appreciate all the good words. Let's start directly into what we got. Walk us back, man. 2009, you joined the Marine Corps. Why? Did you lose a bet? What was it? Would you always know you wanted to be a Marine? Everyone always has a pretty funny story when it comes down to it. Everyone's story is always different.
Yeah, I was gonna join the army, and I that was my thing. It was, growing up, it's I want to be a firefighter, cop, doctor, whatever. I was gonna be a soldier, and that was it for me. And then senior year of high school, I got a phone call one day, and I answered it, and it was just sup big dog, stuff starting really with the Marines, and I was like, what the fuck are the Marines, And then I kind of got home that night from school and was Googling, and I was like, the whole first fight, that mentality, slay the dragon type stuff. I was like, you know, cool. Yeah. Give me a call and let's talk. And he was like, first things first, he's like, I'm not going to give you shit. He's like, Marine Corps is going to have you earn every bit of what you get. And he's like, we're the best of the best. And I have nothing else to tell you. So he's like, if you want to join, just let me know. And I was like, yep, that's it. I'm
Dude,
Marine. That was my mindset there on out, and it couldn't be changed.
I love that. No sugarcoating. Green Weenie got you from the first phone call, dude. Homie didn't hit quota. He just hit random army cards. He was able to grab one. What a guy, man. What a guy. I love it. Okay, so you were Combat Cam, which is now called, was that Comstrat now? But it was Combat Camera
Comstrat.
back when you were in?
Yeah, it was, I think, 2 years, maybe? A couple years after I got out, they changed it to Comstrat because they kinda folded under PAO. Um,
Mm,
and everyone was kinda always like, "Oh, you're PAO or you're ComCam," and then telling those guys, they're like, "Oh, you're ComCam," and the difference really is just that PAO is pretty much for the public, they're writing articles to go with the photos they're taking and stuff like that.
yeah,
Combat
yeah,
Camera's more internal. We're, for the Marine Corps, for the operation, and, the plus side to that is we also release our photography, certain stuff, to the public so the public can still see our work. So that's kinda, the big difference, and then they're both smaller fields in the Marine Corps, so they just kind of rolled them all into one and named it
yeah.
Comstrat, but I still call it Combat Camera, so
Dude, I know. My buddy, he's a gunny. He's in
it's not
Comstrat,
changing.
right? Yeah, same thing. I mean, he calls it Combat Cam all the time and it'll slip up, you know what I mean? But I get it. I get it. Okay, so you deployed, right? You went to Helmand Province of Afghanistan. Hooray. For the people, who obviously everybody in here is Marine, right? But coming in front of that, what did the day-to-day look like as Combat Cam, right? Because we see some pretty sick photos that get taken out there. So how do you operate when it comes down to a deployment?
So, stateside, I was pretty much, like, doing graphics and print, so whenever you're getting, like, your ball programs, retirement ceremony programs, all that stuff, or ops manuals, whatever, I was kinda having to do that stuff, and so there wasn't much room, like, unless you're deploying with a division, they don't really have that stuff forward, unless you're a guy on, like, Leatherneck or something with a big, meth or division or whatever. So, to get guys like me who wanted to deploy, um, but none of those slots were available, you cross train into combat photography and do that, and then you deploy downrange as a photographer. So when I was downrange day to day, it was pretty much since I was with 39, a smaller, just a battalion and not anything above that level. It was nice because day to day, I would just, attach to whatever squad was going out on patrol. Um, I would fly all around the AO, go out to all the different PBs, the cops, whatever line company was here, whoever was there, and just, go out on patrols with them, um, take photos of them doing their job, and,
Nice.
it was a great time.
Dude, I bet, brother. Is there any moment out there that just kinda that sticks out to you that you wanna share?
I would say that I really like the power of the camera. I didn't like you always see powerful photos, but until you're actually put in a situation like that, it's very interesting to see the power of the lens because no matter if it's Americans like Marines or soldiers, British, Canadians, Germans that I worked with, or even the local populace of the civilians of Afghanistan or the ANA, ANP, those guys. When the camera came out, everyone was always wanting to get their photo taken.
Yeah.
So it's just very powerful and telling the story too. In some of the photos that you can take, in the situations you're in, it can make a big impact on an event.
Were you in photography before you enlisted?
No.
Is the
I
Marine
was
Corps is the MOS school, like, pretty badass to, like, really learn how to, like, take photos, or is it more administrative?
so I got greeny weenied from day one. I was supposed to get an O3 contract. They were like, "Oh, they're all gone for the fiscal year. You'll graduate boot in November. Fiscal year, new ones in October. We'll send one down there." I'm down there, and they're just like, "Where the open contracts at?" And I'm like, "Here," and they're like, "Combat camera, Walters. You're going to be in the movies, the next Steven fucking Spielberg." And I was like, "What the fuck is combat camera?" So I had no idea, and it worked out because it was a blessing in disguise. Because I still got to do all the stuff with the infantry. I got to go out on patrols with them. I got to hate my life with them. It was great. And then I also got to see all the other sides of the Marine Corps. I got to go out on ship. The AV guys. I got to see like Navy guys doing their stuff. I got to go on flight decks. I tanks putting arty rounds downrange with the arty guys. Just everything. And it was awesome. I got to see everyone doing their own type of job, and it was very cool. And I wouldn't have gotten that if I ended up getting the O3 contract. So I'm very grateful for how it turned out. The schoolhouse is in Fort Meade, Maryland, uh, and they have a building there called Dimfos, and it's like a schoolhouse, but it's for all the branches. Um, defense information, something I can't remember anymore. But DINFOS pretty much has the Navy, Coast Guard, Army, Marines, and it's all the combat, Air Force, all the combat cameras. But they each branch calls it differently. Like the Navy calls it like mass communication specialists and all that. So depending on what you're doing, photography or the graphics and print or video, you're there and you're in class and you learn all that stuff. So it was it's interesting because it's not what I expected, like,
For
to
sure.
be for how to learn my job in the military, but it's still a cool spot, to learn that because there's civilian instructors and military instructors, so you get kind of a blend of both worlds.
I feel like, dude, if in combat cam, I mean, there's got to be Lance Corporal undergrounds like just taking photos that you should not be taking photos of. Like, you ever see anybody get in
I have a
trouble
lot
for
of
doing that or
photos.
what?
I have a lot. They tell you on day one at Dimphos because the NSA, you can kind of see it in the background behind Fort Meade. Um,
Yeah,
they tell you on day one, do not point your camera in that direction at all. Take any photos, and sure enough, I think it was like a Lance Cooley that did it, and they came over on base. They took the camera, deleted the photos, and everything. And I'm just like, we were running by the fence line one day. I was looking over there. I'm like, how the hell did they
did
even
they
know
know?
that he
Yeah,
took the photo? It's crazy, man. But
you
yeah,
gotta
there's
know.
definitely a lot of photos out there that we took that
Dude, I
have
would love to
questions.
see some. Would you be able to post some like in the community of any of your favorite shots like later on?
Yeah, I can put together some that I took when I was forward and or on ship to and send them over.
That'd be sick. I love looking at that. I think yeah, photos definitely tell a story, right? There's a lot of things that come behind a lens, especially when you have somebody who can really capture it. I thought it was BS for a while until I started getting into production and doing things like this. Something captured correctly, I mean, it is truly invigorating to freaking see. It really does breathe life into a lot of things. So I think it's badass, dude. I think it's really cool.
And for
Um,
any guys that are still in, take photos with the boys. I see
hey,
it and hear it all the time now that I'm out. I wish I took more photos when I was deployed. Wish I took more photos with the guys,
yep,
And when I was in, that was the thing. It was like, no, this is, I'm too cool to get my photos done or whatever, right? And it's bad mindset. Take the photos. You're gonna want them, and when you don't, you're gonna be the guy posting on Facebook or whatever about your time, and you're just like, I wish I had took more photos when I was in. So take photos with the boy.
bro. Do you know how many times you're sipping a whiskey and you tell a story and you got to scroll back to 2013 to show a photo at a barracks party or something? Dude,
Yeah.
photos with the boys have to be one of the most underrated things that men don't do, right? I actually 100% agree with you when it comes down to that because there's so many memories that we've had where going back into it, the people that you haven't talked to in 5, 10 years since getting out are still, if they called you needing something, you would drive across the country in the middle of the night, not even letting your
Mhm.
wife know to go save, to go help them out, dude. It's completely accurate what you're just saying.
I still have them hitting me up sometimes and just being like, "Hey, do you still have those photos that you took of me at CAX?" And I'm like, "Man,
Yeah,
that was 15 years ago," or at this point, longer than that. And I'm just like, "Yeah, I'll send them over."
that's true,
I
bro.
kept
Back in
everything.
the day,
I kept everything.
good. Good. I mean, then you look at photos, you get those badass photos, and you realize
Mhm.
you're like, damn, I was 20 pounds less in that photo. You know what I mean? Like, it's a badass one. I love it. Okay, well, I mean, hey, brother, I kind of want to transition to design mindset, right? Because I've been hit up a couple people by a couple people in here after I started getting my headshots done, right? So when it came down to you being stateside after deployment, like kind of just getting involved with the culture of combat cam, you had a secondary billet you said in graphic reproduction. What is that?
So basically, at the schoolhouse, they just teach you, like massive format printers, print production, and then like printing off stuff and like mounting it to foam core, and then design, like basic level design work. So they pretty much have you doing like retirement booklets and change of command ceremony booklets, ball ceremony brochures or trifolds, stuff like that. Um, Range books, ops manuals, everything like that. And they have you lay them up, and then you have to print them, bind them, whether, three hole punch, staple, whatever, spiral bound, all that stuff. which weird. I didn't even know that was a thing in the military. I just figured we paid civilians to do it. But it makes sense because they save on costs having having some
Oh yeah, brother.
20, 18, 20-year-old doing it for them. So yeah, that's kind of where I learned the basics.
What did that do? What did that do to start teaching you about storytelling, right? Because that's kind of what you have to be able to see through your eye. Did you start getting that when you started doing the pamphlet piece, or what kind of sparked your interest when it came down to really kind of making a lifestyle and career out of this?
So the guys that I was with in that section, they chose it. Well, a good chunk of them chose it. Some of them were open contract like me, but the ones that chose it tended to have a creative background already, like they were arts in college or in high school. Drawing since they were 10, so they already had kind of that mindset, and they definitely helped show me how to kind of tell a story and show me like, hey, you know, you can lay things up in a manner that conveys the story better than just, straight line, straight line, straight line.
Yeah,
Like you can
yeah.
manipulate text and you can manipulate visuals to be more impactful if you just, kind of think outside the box and move them around.
Yeah, that's sick. So basically, your network is your net worth, right? So you kind of leaned in with the boys. They started showing you some stuff and you just started getting hooked. I mean, were you doing this like as a hobby or you just started finding passion behind your work?
It's just turned out to be passion behind the work. I was enjoying what I was doing. And I was planning to stay in. I didn't plan to get out. So, um, then when that kind of crossroad came, I was like, well, I'm going to get out and become a cop and call it a day. And
Hell
then
yeah.
my parents were like, yeah, my mom was like, well, not saying don't do it, do whatever you want to do, but just, keep in mind, you're just going from deployment and the Marine Corps and everything. It's like, if you want to take a break, college is there for you. It's, GI Bill, it's paid for you. Just give it a shot. If you don't like it, the police department's not going anywhere. And so I was like, yeah, it's a good point. I'd like to relax for a little bit. So that's when I decided to continue pursuing it, since I liked what I was doing and went to college for it.
Dude, that's sick. So it's so crazy. Everybody doesn't think they're gonna get out. And then we get out. I wanted to be a cop as well, right? I was able to transition directly into while I was still in doing real estate. I just didn't think I could do it full time because we're crane eaters. I'm like, how am I gonna be able to get involved with that? From that transition of getting out into college, right? What was the scariest part about civilian life, dude? There's got to be something that just kind of stood out to you where you're like, were you going to miss the core? What were you going to miss most about it? I mean, because the mindset behind that keeps the wrong Marines in, and retention is just not good in the core.
I think the biggest thing for me was just that sense of purpose. Like I was like, what am I going to do now? What's my
Yeah.
purpose? I don't know what to do now. I don't have any structure. I don't have anyone, kind of guiding me on a path, or even a career ladder. So I just kind of was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I think that scared me the most.
Yeah.
But it just came with, all right, well, that's my reality. Now I need to take the marine approach, and how am I going to attack it and problem solve it? And I just dove in.
Hell yeah. You went to North Carolina, right? You got a degree
Yeah,
in
I went to
industrial
NC
design.
State. Yeah, the hardest one of the hardest design programs in the country to get into, from what I hear. I
Damn.
think we had 1,200 applicants the year I applied, and they took, I think, 18.
18?
Mhm.
Like 1/8?
Yeah.
What do you think
And
stood
there was
out? That's
applicants, like,
crazy.
there was a kid in my class, he was from New York, he came down and applied, made it to the second phase, which is the interviews and all that, the in-person interviews. Um, the graphic design program, the architecture program, and, like, textiles or whatever. The other ones, from what I know, is when they make it to the second part, the interview phase, they only meet with like one person and interview. The industrial design program requires you to interview with three professors and then department heads or whatever, and then you have to pass through all three before you get accepted.
Damn. Was it a daunting process, or do you feel like left hand,
Yeah,
left knee, right hand, right knee? I've done meritorious
I was
boards, brother. I know how to crush
I
this.
was I was pretty intimidated once I like realized, it's not just applying and getting in. Like there's a lot more to it with the design school, and you have to have a portfolio ready and everything. But I think I kind of had an edge because the majority of the people that applied were 18 and fresh out of high school. So they only had like their art class stuff, but I had actual professional work from the Marine Corps, you know, and I was able to show that. And the fact I was, 21 or 22 at the time, I was older. I was able to convey that professionalism and kind of let them know, like, if you give me the slot, I'm not gonna, lay down. I'm not gonna drop out. I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna see it through. So I think that helped me getting one of those 18 slots.
That is savage. So let's discuss that, right? Because I didn't go to college, right? For Marines listening in here, or obviously when we purpose this onto YouTube and they're talking about it, they're going back and forth. What do you have to say to Marines who think college is useless? What was your overall consensus of college?
I, honestly, I had a great time.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, regardless of all, like, the fun and partying and everything, I just overall, I just had a great time. Like, I hated when I was in high school, I was just like, "I'm going in the Marine Corps. I don't care about this. This doesn't matter. I'll never apply this, or I'll never use this again. I'm going in the Marine Corps." So that was my mindset. Hated being in class all day. And then once I hit college and I was older, it's just like, shit, I have like 3 classes a week, and the rest of the time I'm off, and they're only like an hour or 2 hours a day. I gotta show up and pay attention for an hour, and then I'm good for the rest of the day. Go to the gym, do whatever, go to the bar tonight, have a couple beers. Like, it was easy. I loved it. So, a lot of people think college is useless, but it allowed me to have a flexibility in my schedule to have a lot more freedom. And then it even if, let's say, hypothetically, I didn't like what I chose to get a degree in, I still wouldn't say college is useless because it taught me, how to be more patient and interacting with people because we technically have experience, or not technically, but we've had experiences in the Marine Corps where patience is not really a virtue, and got a lot of people above you that are kind of hot-headed or fly off the handle. So the Marine Corps definitely, you know doesn't teach you that very well, but college definitely taught me how to interact with people more professionally and work, you know in a way that can still get the task done.
Dude, I love that. I just think about if I went to college, because how many, I mean, getting out, if I got out and I went to college after 4 years or after even eight, the way that you interact with people must be so polarizingly different, dude. Like it must be so crazy. You said, was that an adjustment for you at all? Or are you just walking in like, yo, what up, dickhead? Is
Yeah,
it
it was
any
it was
change?
weird. The first year design studios, they were all, 18, and I was like 22, I think. And you know, the professor would be talking to me about, what whiskey I liked, and like, yeah, let's go grab a beer, next time you're down at the pub that you were talking about, because we'd both go to the same pub. He's like, yeah, let's go, have a Guinness or whatever, have a whiskey. And I was just like, it's kinda odd, like
Modernization.
shooting the shit with the professor, and then you got all these 18-year-olds looking at you like, This is weird, like, can you do that?" Uh, yeah, it was
Dude, that's
definitely a
crazy.
weird experience to adjust to at first, but then by the time I hit, senior year, they're all 21 at that point, so it all
Yeah.
just fit in.
Do you think though, like, do you think with your degree and what you're doing, because obviously you have to be very visionary mindset, very, very entrepreneurial. Did your degree help you land certain jobs and start getting to where you feel like you are now?
It did, because it taught me how to handle, like, a design portfolio and, how to convey that to clients or, like, interviews. I graduated in May of 2020, so I was a lockdown graduate. I graduated via Zoom.
Oh,
So,
hell yeah.
I applied to because I wasn't gonna go in the graphic design field, I was gonna go in the industrial design field, which is a different type of design. It's like your iPhone is an industrial design product. The industrial designers will design it and then give it to the engineers and be like, "Hey, fit everything inside of here." So I was kinda looking at more that kinda design, but then when I graduated during lockdown, it was a whole lot of unknown. Didn't know what job I was going to be able to get, because everyone was scared and layoffs, everything was happening. So I applied to every UX UI job, every industrial design job, every graphic design job, just all over. And I landed a graphic design job with a tool company. So if you ever go into Lowe's or Home Depot, Ace Hardware, and you see any gear wrench products, Crescent products, odds are I had a hand in designing the packaging for that. Um, and our
That's pretty badass.
yeah, digital designing and stuff like that. The whole Crescent line, I designed the new packaging for that, so that's kind of cool. Like it was cool when I first got hired. I almost see it in the store. I'm just like, oh yeah, I did that SKU. Like I did that package, but the design already existed because it was the brand that was before I came in. And then when they rebranded, um, between all the options that were pitched, mine got picked. So that's kind of cool now because now when I go in and see it, it's like, oh no, that is my design. It's not like I just skinned the package with an existing design. That is mine from the ground up.
Old
Which
discount code Robbie Walters. I'm gonna go buy all the crescent wrenches and the fucking my Lowe's holds
I'm telling you,
wholesaler,
man,
brother.
it's insane the quality. Like we have a much smaller foothold than like Stanley, Milwaukee, Black and Decker, and everything, but the quality of the products that those guys have been engineering and putting out are way cooler and just way better than anything else out there. So I think they're going to become more of a force to be reckoned with here in the next 5 years.
I love that. Dude, design stuff, I mean, kind of coming from scratch and just really putting something into perspective with that, it does truly blow my mind because I'm a visionary myself, but you truly have to look at things from all angles and build into what you not only think will work, but then package something that also you think they're going to like based off of that. I mean, what skills do you feel actually matter in design today? If someone to get in design, what would you recommend they kind of get into and make sure that they harness and sharpen to make sure that they can be successful in your industry?
I would say fundamentals are key, 100%. The golden ratio and the rule of thirds and all that, those never go away. Those will always apply in design. And I think a lot of new designers starting out fail, um, or struggle to get going because they just focus on the current design trend, or like they focus on aesthetics, and there's more to it than that. Um, you can make it look, I mean, you can make something look cool all day, but how does it how does it stand across time? Will it last? Will it fall apart? A year from now. So a lot of them miss that mark, and I would say just the fundamentals are huge.
So what about skills? Like what skills are overrated? What skills where you see marketing that they're doing that you're like fucking bullshit, brother. Like that is nothing. Cuz I feel like when it comes down to it, if you don't know design and you got to pay for design, there's got to be some highway robbery in there, man.
Yeah, and that it goes back to the trend chasing and
Yeah.
the aesthetics. I mean, the people that are like missing the fundamentals is they're sinking. Over time. It might be a slow sink, but they're sinking. You know, there's a good chance they're going to fall behind strategically because it doesn't convey a story. It doesn't hold strong. So yeah, the skills of the people who can just design stuff, real fast and just pop out design really fast, or stuff that just looks cool. Those are the overrated skills because a lot of clients get wowed by that. They're like, "Oh, this looks fucking awesome," and then it's like, "Yeah, well, you're going to pay them a ton of money, and then a year from now, you're going to be hiring someone else because that design fell apart and now it looks dated."
Yeah. I feel it. So, and before I dive directly into the old breed design co, I do want to know, right? What is Chat GPT or AI not going to be able to do when it comes down to what you have? Because there totally is an eye for it. I honestly feel it. But where do you think the line gets drawn when it comes down to just getting quick, simple graphics to transitioning to obviously the professional thing? Do you think it's ever going to happen, or what are your thoughts on that?
So at least in the immediate future, I don't think it's going to happen. When all the AI first started popping off, we were all worried, and AI is coming for our jobs and stuff like that. But the more I've been around it, and it's gone insane now. The video stuff, you see Will Smith eating spaghetti when they first did it to now, it's night and day difference. You can't even tell the new one if it's fake or real.
Yeah,
Um,
deep
and
fakes are
so
crazy.
yeah, it's insane how fast it's grown, and it's only 2 years. 2023 is when they did the first one, I think. So, it was a big fear early on that it was gonna replace all of us, but, as I've been working more with AI, because I see it as something that, like, it's not going away, and, so many companies are investing and buying into it, so I've been teaching myself and staying up with it so I can learn how to use it and
Mm.
have it as a tool in my toolbox. And I think that that's kind of the big fear in the beginning is kind of irrelevant. I think it's more of just an asset for designers now to have in their toolbox because the my kid was trying to come in here.
No
Um,
worries.
but I think it's just a tool in my toolbox now because no matter what I do with AI, or anyone does with AI, it's gonna require the human touch. There's always going to be post editing. You can do something in chat GPT and generate or whatever. And then once you get it, the stuff I've even generated, it's great for speeding up the process of things that take me a long time to do as a designer. But I'm still taking that, bringing it in the Photoshop, bringing in the Illustrator, polishing, taking stuff out, fixing stuff. So either way, it's more of a tool and an asset than it is gonna, replace me. Also, at the end of the day, no matter how many years down the line, it's not going to be able to build an entire brand and
Yeah.
tell you start to finish. This is your brand. This is how it's going to scale. This is how it's going to. It can't do that for you because you need the human. You need the eye of the human and the visual to look at it, break it down, and see what holds true and see what works. And a computer is just not going to be able to tell you that because they don't have the human factor.
Yeah, very analytical, right? I agree. It could be subjective. It's got to be personality driven. I agree. Do you use chat, or is there like a certain AI graphic, website that's better for, photos?
So I've been messing with Chat GPT, but more so to generate prompts, and then those prompts I'm taking into OpenArt, and like I'll tell it, OpenArt's nice because it has Seed Dream, Nano Banana, it has all of them in there if you pay for the high enough plan, and so instead of just saying give me ABC, you can tell Chat GPT write a prompt for Nano Banana and give me ABC. And so your little thing like this now turns into this,
Hmm.
and you can put that into the Nano Banana and you'll get extremely, detailed thing that you're looking for. But one thing it's struggling with right now is design styles. You can feed it reference images, but it still tends to struggle with matching a design style that you're trying to give it. A lot of times, it's kind of reverting back to just that kind of generic 2000s clip art style stuff, and obviously that is not going to hold up or work for a client. So it's a blend of both. I kind of use Chat GPT and OpenArt, um, and in which case I still take that stuff and have to go back and manipulate and do stuff with it post, which it can't do.
Yeah, dude. I saw this video, me and my wife a couple days ago. We were chilling watching reels, and it was like recreate this exact same image of the rock
Oh,
a
and it
hundred
just
times.
you
And
say
it
don't change a thing, it's changing so many things.
Dude, it was scary. It was like, thank God we weren't on like shrooms or anything. It turned into some weird, freaky Picasso thing, dude.
Yeah,
And
I've
I'm
like
like, yeah,
gotten
we're
into
pretty far. We're pretty far from this still.
I've gotten into an argument before with it because I like told it I was like, do not change a thing, keep everything the exact same, only replace this item, and it changed the whole design, it changed everything about it, gave me a whole different position of the person in it. And I said,
Yeah,
I asked you not to change anything, so try again, don't change. And it was like, you're totally right, I changed everything about this. And then it was like, okay, let me do it without changing anything, and then it changed stuff again. So I was just
that is
like, yeah,
the worst.
this is not working. And I ended up spending 4 hours doing it by hand. So
I'll do just Thanos it. Yeah, I'll do it myself.
yeah.
I love it. So 2024, right? You started the Old Breed Design Co. Why the name? Where'd you come up with the name?
So it actually kind of wasn't planned. I was just kind of doing like freelance for people that knew I was a graphic designer and needed stuff here and there. And then I landed a client here in Raleigh, and they're a professional business. They're a restaurant, or not a restaurant, sorry, they're a bar. So I was like, okay, I need to get legitimate, because I was just going like R. Walters Designs, and I was like, yeah, just like PayPal me, or something, or just like give me cash, like whatever. And then once I landed them, and they said like, oh, we want you to do this for us full time, like can we put you on a retainer? Then I was like, okay, I need to go legitimate. There's going to be taxes involved. You got to pay your cut to the man upstairs.
Mhm.
So then I kind of sat back and I was like, all right, I need to make this legit. I need to get the LLC paperwork filed. I need to come up with a name and everything. And I was just kind of sitting there and I was thinking about it. And, I love that book, The Old Breed by, Eugene Sledge. And I was thinking about it and there was no better or fitting of a name to pick, I thought, because,
Oh yeah.
it kind of shows where I was and where I'm going. And, I sent it to my buddy when I first made it official. And he's like, it's funny that you picked that because, you know, when we were in, those guys that were, the early Iraq vets or like Gulf Storm, all those guys, they were the old breed. He's like, now you're out and you're starting this old business. He's like, we're the old breed now. He's like,
It's
that
crazy.
torch just continuously gets passed.
Yep.
Because there's, the new guys that are in now that just graduated high school this past year, who were probably middle school when I was in. And, to them, it's like, oh, like I've had people say to me, like, oh shit, you were in Marja? Like we learn about Marja and SOI, so um it's interesting how the torch progresses. So I just kind of felt like it was a nod to my roots in the Marine Corps and kind of where I came from. And then, I can kind of carry that through.
Dude, I think that's sick. I'll tell you right now, I didn't even think about the fact, but we are the Salt Dogs now. Like, we
Yeah,
are
we
the
are
old
the
breed, brother. I remember my last year in, I mean, we're doing, a moment of silence for 9/11, and I realized all my Marines that were, like, Lance Corporals and below, they learned about that in a history book, bro. Like, they
Mhm.
weren't even alive, and now, yeah, you got people that graduated in 2007 joining the Marine Corps right now, and that is disgusting. That's crazy, bro.
And
Look
it's
at
just
Alberto shaking his head. I know, man, that's crazy.
it's a gnarly, dynamic to think about. Like, those World War II guys, they were, any of the crusty World War I vets that were serving still, they were calling them the old breed. And then the Vietnam guys were calling the World War II guys, the old breed. And Korean War vets, and it just keeps moving, time just goes on. And so that torch is now kind of in our hands.
Yeah.
And
And what
eventually
I mean,
it'll
how
be in their hands, those
yeah,
'07 kids, it'll be in their hands.
yeah, that's gonna be so cool. That's just a great way to think about it, you know what I mean? That's what also creates that sense of unity and esprit de corps, right? Being able to pass that torch on and accept that with graciousness. I love that. I think the name is sick, and it kind of resonates the fact that you brought in values from the core, I'm guessing, with this. So did you mean to make it, kind of very military-esque? Did you wanna lean more into that brand or just kind of the name? What were your
Yeah,
thoughts
I
behind
just
that?
I just wanted the name.
Yeah.
I thought the name was gonna be like my nod and, and my respects, and then that was gonna be it, and then, it turned into landing a lot of military clients. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah, which I wanna get into. Are you able to talk about the ones that you told me about?
yeah, so I have, kind of clients all over and a lot of non-military related clients, but, I've done work for the Texas VFW, and I've done work for 1st Battalion, 23rd Marines. I just did their ball program.
Oh, yeah.
The Ton Tavern, the Ton Legacy Foundation. They're in Philly. They're rebuilding the Ton about 200 feet from where it originally was, and they came to me needing some design stuff, and I did a full brand proposal for them, and that turned out super sick in my opinion, and looking forward to seeing them implement it and how they execute it. Because there's still a long way to go. I mean, they're still securing funding for everything to get it built. They're doing a bar and restaurant on the first floor, and the second floor, I think, it might change. I don't know. This is all early
Yeah.
stuff. And then they might have from what someone told me, they might have a museum and kind of a recruiting station on the
Way
second.
better, brother.
I don't
Captain
know if the
Sandy
recruiting
Nichols.
station will happen or if that's just, the guys talking about it, joking about it, but it would be pretty sick to have, a couple beers at the Ton Tavern downstairs, then go up and sign up for the Marine
That's
Corps
what I'm
like
that
they
is
did
what
back
I'm
in the
saying.
day. Retention
I wanna
retention
see an
rate's gonna be a lot
AI.
higher, but there will be a lot of older crusty vets signing up. A lot of
I wanna see
waivers.
an AI Captain Samuel Nichols just running around, just crushing it within Ton Tavern, dude. I think that's so I wonder
Yeah.
when they are gonna break ground on that. That'd be a fun little
They
Marwalk
they
field
did
trip
like
with the
their
boys.
shovel they did their shovel groundbreaking ceremony,
Mm.
but actual building it, I think they're shooting for 2026 and they want to be done, I think, by 2027. I saw that they just announced in the 2 years that this has existed, they've secured over 9.5 million in raising the funds so far. So that's
Wow.
huge. And if you guys aren't a member, they have a 1775 club where for one time payment, 213 bucks, or you can pay over a year, $17.75 a month. You sign up, you get a shirt, a coin, and a certificate showing that you're a member for life. And whenever you go in there, you'll get your beer for like I think 75 cents, as long as you have
Bro,
like your membership coin. So
done.
yeah, the goal is they kind of want that. They want it to be like the pilgrimage, like the Marines just pilgrimage to the tavern. Um, and they're calling it the Ton. It's not Ton Tavern because there's a guy that has a restaurant and bar named Ton Tavern. He has the rights, so they're calling it the Ton. Um, but it's actually gonna be the real deal. So
That's
it's sick.
gonna be sick, dude. I'm pumped. Well, if you know more about that, let us know. I probably will do a membership. I'll add that as a little stocking stuffer to myself.
Yeah,
See what we can end up getting in regards to
it's
that, man.
crazy, man. It's you got to think 213 bucks to be a lifetime member, and you get swag out of it. And then anytime you go there, your beer's 75 cents. I mean, it's kind of a no brainer, and it helps get our history built.
Hell yeah. Get a little Marwalk meetup over there. 75-cent beers. You
That would
cannot
be
beat
awesome.
that.
If you
I
guys do
want to
it, I'm gonna be there waiting at the door before they even open. If you guys do that,
Good man. We'll tent it up, brother, like we used to do with the iPhones. I want to bring it back though, because when you talked about your first client being in the restaurant, what sparked for me initially was what did you do right? What did you do wrong? The moment that you wanted to be on retainer, right?
Mhm.
Did you because this is kind of where it all comes like you guinea pig it, then proof of concept happens where you get your first client. And then did you undervalue yourself right away to make sure you can
Hundred
stay? Or how did you
million.
do that? Yeah.
I undervalued and undersold myself like no other. Like I knew I had the skills, but no one ever tells you getting into it. Like people are so like, in your corner, like do it. Start your own business. Get out there, just do it. But what no one tells you is that it's hard as shit to land clients, especially starting out. So I had a lot of clients in the beginning where I undersold myself a
Yep.
ton. I mean, there's clients, there's I know designers out there that have clients on retainer and they're charging them 3 grand a month, and that's with a limit on what they'll do. I have guys that'll charge $500 to $750 for one flyer. I don't charge that much, but you know I was charging this bar. I was charging them, I think, $40 like for every flyer I did, and it just wasn't sustainable because I was taking some of these flyers, were really good and they would take 4 or 5 hours to do. And that
Yeah.
doesn't include feedback and revisions, the changes they might have. So I was definitely burning myself out really quick and underselling myself, and losing money because I was putting so much time into something for 40 bucks that my time was worth more than that. And so after I did it for a year, though, I did it with the stipulation. I was like, you guys just opened. I know money's a little tight right now, but when the bar takes off, when social media grows, I'll do this for a year, but once the year is up, I'd like to renegotiate and, adjust prices. And they said, deal. So then a year went by. And at the end of that year, I came back to them and I said, hey, like, we talked about this. I would like to have this conversation now. They said, cool. And they said, what's your number? And I told them, and they said, done. How do you want
See?
your They said, how do you want your monthly payment?
You
And
said Bitcoin.
yeah, yeah, I wish. Uh, but yeah, and that was it. They said done. So, I definitely undersold myself for a year, but that year with them built that professional relationship and showed them I could do the job and showed them, everything that they were getting with me was worth the cost that they were going to be spending and investing in me because I was investing in them. And I think that even though it sucked underselling myself and losing money for that year, it ended up paying off because I landed them on a retainer contract and they don't want to let me go. So that's been huge. I mean, we've grown there so for a bar here in Raleigh, the social media pages, only a couple of them have over 10,000 followers.
Yeah.
Everyone else they might have like 2,000 or something like that. Um, but they've been there, I think, 3 years now or something like that, and we're coming up on, I think, 11,000. So, and part of that is, the social media, the designs are nothing like any of the other bars are doing.
I love
So,
that.
it definitely stands out against the competition. So, yeah, I know I definitely undersold myself in the beginning, and I was doing stuff way cheaper, and I think I'm very competitive, and I still charge a lot less than everyone I know. Um, but I still am able to charge enough to where I'm not underselling myself, but I'm also charging less than what the, other guys are charging. So I'm in a happy medium right now.
I love that. And honestly, that's a big thing with me as well cuz trying to well, first off, Marines in general, maybe not, but we're pretty terrible at pricing our worth when it comes down to it initially. I know that you said that you did it, but kind of coming into it, what do you think an introductory price for somebody getting into graphic design should want to start out at? If they were to come in there, and I already have a personal message in here for somebody who wants to get involved, how would you recommend them starting to price themselves? I'm guessing that's so subjective though, right? Because it's based
It
off of
really
what they
is.
do.
It's based on what you deem your time to be worth, I think. You can, like, now I'm at a standpoint where I know how much my time is worth and I know how long something is going to take me. And, if you can't afford that, I respect that because, everyone's got to eat, everyone has their own budgets. So if I quote you something and they're like, sorry, it's just too much, can you come down a little bit? If I can, I will. But, if they're asking me for $1,000 worth of design work and they're like, yeah, our budget's 150 bucks, I'm gonna be like, I'm
Kick rock.
sorry,
Yeah.
but I can't. Um, so, I think the big thing is just it's subjective to knowing what your time is worth. But if you're starting out, I think that it's totally okay to take the, like, if you just learn design and you're just starting out freelancing and you're just starting your business, I think it's okay as to undersell yourself because it gives you more experience. It helps you get better at creating and designing your job. It teaches you about, what you should or shouldn't charge because then okay, this is definitely not enough. But that's also subjective too. Do you have a full time job and that's your income and you're kind of building this on the side so you can afford to take the lower rates? So yeah, it's definitely subjective. And I think it's just purely based on what you deem your time to be worth and how good you are. If
Yeah.
you're not necessarily bottom of the barrel designer, but if you're just learning and you're just starting and you're coming out here like, oh yeah, I'm going to charge you 7 grand for an entire brand build, you're not going to get it because they're going to see the
Yeah.
quality of the work and they're immediately going to know, yeah, sorry, we can't, justify that cost.
I
Versus
got
someone
you.
who knows their worth, they have that portfolio behind them, they have all the clients behind them backing them. Like, well, this is a little pricey for us, but all of these clients went with this company, so clearly they know what they're doing. Clearly their worth is there, and they get that return on investment. Um,
Is that what you think happens? Is that what you think the biggest pricing mistake creatives make is overcharging or undercharging? Because I feel like when you undercharge, you should never be afraid to put money in your friends' pockets, of course, especially people trying to get involved with what you have. But trying to do a homie hookup, I feel like can definitely end up burning bridges, quite a bit and start stressing you out and
I
stretching you
ran
thin.
into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not necessarily burn bridges, but it's kind of like it's like when you have a truck, suddenly you have 800 friends because they're all hitting you up on the weekend to help you for you to help them move.
Yep.
So like I've had a lot of people like hit me up and ask me for oh, I just need this real quick, and it's like, dude, what you're asking me is not real quick. And they're like, hook it up, like, can you hook it up and do it for free? And sometimes I will as much as I can, but I think a lot of people take advantage of that, the homie hookup. And like a lot of times if I do something for free for like a homie, they're nice enough to like I don't ask for anything and then they hit me with a Venmo and they just
Reciprocate, baby.
even
Yeah.
if it's not a ton of money or they're just like, I appreciate what you did, have a beer on me.
Good
So
man.
like even that, carries a
It's
lot of weight.
75 cents a Ton Tavern.
Yeah.
A ton.
Then you might be saying buy me a couple beer at that point. But
There it
yeah, and
is.
I think overpricing is definitely it's scary. But if you're coming in with a number and you know, it can be scary and intimidating because you're like, I really want this job. I really want this contract, but I'm scared to charge this price because what if it's out of their budget and I lose that job when I'm willing to take less so I can have that job? You know, I think you just got to have the confidence to go in there and charge your worth. Because I definitely learned that the hard way, and now I'm at the point where I'm totally okay with someone telling me I'm out of their budget because I have that client base behind
Yep.
me and I have more clients coming every week, every day. So I'm okay now with that. But in the beginning, it was definitely intimidating. I was like, it definitely is a kind of a, gut punch because it's like, damn, I just lost another client. Like, damn, I could have had that if I'd quoted them $1,000 less, then I probably would have landed that, and it still would have been good money. So it's yeah, that's the biggest problem is just knowing your worth. But eventually, once you build it up, you'll be
Well,
fine.
that's a biggest thing is, yeah, he who holds the power, or he who's willing to walk holds the power, right? So when you know your worth and you have a funnel coming in there, and obviously overnight success takes freaking 4 years to build, right? And you can walk away from something, then absolutely, right? Then the clientele that you're going to be able to start being able to reap are the ones that deserve the reward. So I agree with you completely. That's exactly what I used to do when it came down to the undercharge piece. But what I caught myself is when I started doing that, I would spread myself so thin that it was a lot of you obviously want to under promise over deliver, right? But as you go lower because you want to beat them out, you're over promising what you can do, and you might not, it wouldn't be under delivering results necessarily, but under delivering your time and what your own worth is,
And now
right?
that money you're getting for that job is now less because you're putting in more time to land it and more work.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly,
it
brother.
becomes it's a slippery slope that can get away from you real quick.
Entrepreneurship, baby. So let me hit you with some rapid fires because I got some questions in here, especially for the design side, which is growing. A lot of people want to get involved with this. I mean, it's massive. So, what are the best free tools to start learning design? Would you say if you want to be able to take this up and maybe make a career out of this?
YouTube, 100,000%. I mean, I guess now I can say I've been doing design work over 13 years, and I'm still on YouTube, weekly, like learning new stuff, or just even if I'm designing something and I've done it a million times, but I can't remember how for some reason, on YouTube. Um,
Nice.
it's massive, it's free. The knowledge is there. It's an encyclopedia, it's a library, and it's free. So that's huge to start learning. There's a program called GIMP that's been around forever, and Inkscape has been around a long time. I'm pretty sure those are both free to use. They obviously have like paid stuff, but you can use those for free to mess around with and start learning. No, before anyone asks, don't use Canva. And then, and
Why? Why? Why not?
it's just not, it's plug and play, drag and drop kind of design in my opinion, and if you're gonna be a graphic designer, you need to know how to do it from scratch, and the actual program's built for that. Um, Professional design, put it next to a Canva design. Put any piece of mine next to any Canva design, and you're gonna choose mine. And that's not me bragging, that's just me having the confidence in my abilities as a professional level designer to know, or if you even say, "Is A or B Canva?" They're gonna know B is Canva every time. Um,
Dude, knowing that
yeah.
I made your flyer, like an hour and a half ago, we used Canva to put something out there for a graphic design
Some people
dude.
are better at Canva than others. You have a little bit of an edge there. But yeah, the GIMP and Inkscape are free, and then Affinity is Adobe's biggest competitor, and they're a one-time purchase and then like free for life. I don't know if that's changed. That's how it was the last I heard about it. And Adobe is the industry standard. They have an absolute chokehold on the industry, but they have switched from one-time purchase to subscription based, and they have kind of a chokehold on it. So like a lot of guys that I look up to in the design field that I follow online and everything. There's this guy made by James. He uses only Affinity now. He's like, nope, I'm out. I'm done with Adobe and their business practices and everything. And he switched to Affinity and he really likes it. And it's supposed to be pretty similar. I haven't messed with Affinity. Um, Adobe is what I learned on. It's the standard for me. It's the industry standard. So a lot of vendors they can take AI files, so it's easy for me to just stay in that field.
Okay, so I appreciate that. They're getting into it. They like it. How long, especially I guess from the point of conception of you getting into graphic design, you taking it seriously until you feel like someone's realistically market ready to start charging for services?
I think that's also subjective because it's based on your skill level. How, are you a natural at design? Do you just have an eye for
Mhm.
it?
Yeah,
And if you do, then you can start doing stuff right away. I have a friend of mine who I've known now since 2012. I want to say 13. He's out in Kentucky. He hit me up. We didn't really talk a lot over the past few years, but he hit me up. I don't know, close to a year ago now. It might be actually a year last week. He hit me up. He's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting into design." And I was like, "I will help you along the way. Straight up. Anything you need, I will help you. You're not bothering me. Any questions you have, let me know." And his stuff was really rough in the beginning, and there's still stuff now he sends me every day and I give him feedback on it. And he still has a long way to go, but he already has I don't. They're not like a. I guess they might be like a comedy club or something. They have like stand up and everything, but he has them on retainer. He has several clients that he's worked for and have come back for multiple um,
nice,
work since then. So, you know, and that's less than a year that
dude.
he was having work, within the first month and a half, 2 months of him getting started, given it was a lot of like friends and family stuff, word of mouth. But now, he's landed that retainer client. That's huge, and he's potentially got another one coming on the books here soon as a retainer client. So it's just being hungry for it and just doubling down. I mean, he's got 2 jobs and he's doing this freelance stuff. So he's like, "This is what I wanna do." He's like, "I'm buckling down," and he's putting in the hours, he's putting in the work, and he's learning.
Dude, you got a little Padawan, brother.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. Seeing him, stick with it, it's been awesome. He's come far really quick.
I love it. I want to know what are some biggest red flags for clients, that they should avoid when trying to, hire a graphic designer.
Thinking they can get it cheaper or do it themselves or do it with
Okay.
AI. "Oh, I can just do that with AI, it'll be fine. No one will tell the difference." You can tell the difference, and, just don't. Just it's your return on investment's way better when you're paying a designer who knows what they're doing. And a lot of people, you can quote them out. Like I had someone, I quoted them 5 grand. I quoted them, and they're like, "Oh, that's way too much." Um, we're gonna go to an agency. Thank you though. I said, okay, no problem. They came back to me 3 days later and said the agency wanted $20,000. They said, and so I was so tempted to not take them on as a client, or I was the other devil on my shoulder was saying, okay, it's now 8 grand.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so that's the biggest thing is thinking you can get it cheaper because you always can. You always will find someone to do it cheaper, but the quality is not going to be there. And that's what I think a lot of clients really don't appreciate is the time and work that goes into making that final polished product for someone.
I would say we probably do overlook it, right? Because we're always doing so many things that that's just one aspect of the business, but the brand is the business, right? When you're looking at something, even with what we're about to dive into with what you're doing with us, mine, it's just a placeholder. It's something you think about, you have to conceptualize, put it in there so that way it's tangible so you have something, but you don't really even dive into the layers, of sustainability with a logo, which is what you did. You did a badass presentation. We're going to go over a couple things that you ended up sharing with us. But no, I didn't even think about that. I think that's badass, which means I want to translate to the hard work and the work ethic that you have. What is one thing and one habit that changed everything for you when it came down to taking this seriously and making this, how you feed your family?
Refusing to give up, like like settling for nothing but the best. I think that's what my mindset was, and just kind of this is what I'm doing, and this is what I want to do, and I'm gonna give it my absolute all. I'm not gonna one foot in the door, the other foot in another door, half in, half out. I was like, I have to double down. I have to invest in myself. I have to believe in myself and my skills. I have to invest in that, and I also have to invest in my clients and make sure they're getting the absolute best that I can deliver, and I will not settle for anything but that. If I'm not going to give them something I'm not happy with.
I love it. I freaking love it. Dude, Robbie, I got a couple things real quick. I'm going to be basically, guys, hey, cat's out of the bag. we're using Robbie, right? We ended up showing him what our logo is. Homie respectfully and tactfully said, "Hey, that's great for a kindergartner, right?" And so I was like, "Okay, well, what can we do?" Right? And so he ended up taking a couple days. He was able to present what we're going to be approving for our new MARWOC logo, right? Our MARWOC merch, and what we're going to be positioning for this community. And I'm super pumped to show you guys. But before I share my screen and do that, if anybody here, right, wholesale companies, right, capital ventures, right, any industry that they're in, if they reach out to you, would you be willing to have a conversation about being able to take them on and start looking at building out their brand and making it more professional and updating it, brother?
100%. I have the bandwidth. I'm looking to expand here in the next couple years. I can't this year, but it's like a 2027 goal. Is I want to have kind of a storefront and just nice little studio space, kind of six desks, six designers, have a photo studio, and then me. That's the plan. But right now, I still have the bandwidth. I can take on additional clients, and I investing in your brand is the best way you can do to make money. And to do that, you got to invest in having good design. The ton, they did the 1775 club. It's got over, I think, 3,000 members, 2 or 3,000.
Nice.
I think 3,000. And on that $213, I mean, they've made over $500,000 on that to build the ton. And the percentage of what they paid me to do for them on the front end before it even launched, that return on investment has paid itself back, what, fucking 110 times over.
Hell yeah, brother.
Because I wasn't charging them $250,000 to do that. You know what I mean? So the return on investment, they invested in me and their brand and what they wanted for the 1775 club, and it's paid them back a hundredfold.
I love it. I love it. So if you guys have a logo right now, you guys want to get involved with what you got, just at least show him, because that's what we were doing. I didn't plan to rebrand. I planned to add on to what we have and kind of look at some graphics for the classrooms and sprinkle some stuff in. But this is what good designers do, right? They infiltrate, they work in and show you kind of what we're doing and where you could be. And I truly do see what my logo was, right? That we already ordered stickers and hats for, you know what I mean? And then you end up realizing, you want sustainability, you want modern, you want what you want. And that's the thing that I forgot. I go, hey, this will do for now. But the issue of with the placeholder is you might never get around to it. And you're really undercutting what your brand could be, right? You're undercutting what, a polarizing picture of what this should be. And even if you have a logo that you've been using for a while, cleaning something up, adding into something like that can really help kind of boost brand identity as well, from what I've seen, and start getting more eyes onto what you have. So, I'm going to share the video. I'm going to see if the sound plays. Let me know if it plays. If it doesn't, I can still go and maybe you can narrate it, Robbie, while we're going through or something. Okay. Maybe we can see what we got.
Get a couple of those 75-cent beers in me first, and I might.
Brother. Well, let's see it. Let's see if I can share my screen. All right. Can you guys see the video?
Yep. Yeah, I got you.
All right. Well, let's see if you can hear it.
Yeah, we're good on sound.
All right. All right. Check this out, guys. You just want me to play it through? Or do you want me to
Yeah,
pause it so they can read
no,
it?
no, just play it through. We can look
All
at it
right.
later. Oh, there's no sound this time.
It's fucking
Yeah,
sick,
I don't know
dude.
what happened there. We didn't get the sound on the second time. We
Hey,
had
you
it on
didn't
the
get the
first one.
sound. It's fine. It's okay. You know
But
what? It
yeah,
was it was a it was a rendition of the White Stripes Seven Nation Army. It was fucking sick, right? But I will say with
I mean,
this,
honestly, we can probably just post it in the school and then people can
yes,
sit there with sound, because it
I
really,
will
like,
post
it
that.
helps hit the transitions on the images. But
It
yeah.
does. It does. It didn't fall flat. I promise, Rob. We're good to go, right? But I want you to break down this a little bit, right? Because when it comes down to this, Marwalk behind it, right? We had the Spartan helmet, right, which was the money sign. We had obviously the M for the Marine Corps, walk for the Wealth Operations Command piece. I know that we went over it quite a bit, but I just need like a couple minutes walkthrough of how you got that, because what you see here in the Marwalk logo, guys, which is pretty freaking sick. First off, I love the colors behind this, right? The dollar sign that he stated, right? You end up, looking at money, wealth, right? Where the gold piece was able to pop out. Obviously, that's going to be able to signal finance. But this right here, if you can see the Spartan helmet, right, throughout the entirety of this. And then you also can see the M, and then you can see the W over here. And it's crazy how much of a blend that you can get with this to be able to simplify something, but also make it to where when you know, you know. And that's what I'm really liking what this brand did. It's when you know, you know. And do me a favor, Rob, if you want to take over
Yeah.
on a minute of just kind of highlighting some stuff, I'd love for you to.
Yeah, so the big thing for me with the current setup was, anyone that has a Spartan helmet in their logo, um, it's the full helmet. And therefore, how can you make like, okay, I want a Spartan helmet, but how can I make that stand out against everyone else who uses a Spartan helmet? And so I think that that was a key piece for me, and I wanted to incorporate the M and the W. So I think that it was really nice to implement a reduction of the helmet, taking off, the top, the mohawk part, and taking off the rounded part of the helmet, and just kind of focusing on kind of that nose bridge and then the eyes. And then when you separate those elements and then just angle them the right way, you get what you have right here, which it blends all three. It blends the M, the W, and the Spartan helmet. And it's all, pretty recognizable. You don't want to create a design to the point where you lose all the legibility and you don't know what you're looking at. I think this one holds really strong to what it's trying to convey. All three elements: the Spartan helmet, the M, and the W. Um, the current one had a lot of the colors going on: the black, the red, kind of that gold brown, and then it had like white, and then it had a gradient as well in there. And those can all of those colors can add to cost when you're producing merch and say screen printing. Every color is going to be a cost and it adds up quick. And then also reproducing along the lines, making a brand recognizable, it can get kind of tricky when you have so many colors. It can kind of take away from that recognition and make it
Yeah.
hard to recognize. So with this, I like that kind of gold brown that was already there in the current logo, so I pulled that. I like the black, I kept that, and then I decided to drop the dollar sign because, at the end of the day, MARWOC, yes, it is about, growing the wealth and everything, but there's more to it than that. It's about the community and everything. So I didn't feel like it was necessary to convey a literal dollar sign. However, we can convey that in the coloring: gold, money. So we kind of hold that true to that standard right there.
Brother.
And then from there, I just kind of flushed out how it would look across the color scheme: inverted white, gold, black, and then black, gold, and then looked at, how to apply it across a brand and how, a quick overview of how it could look with a letterhead, a notebook, business cards, envelopes, stuff like that. And just to see an early flush out of how it could work across a brand. This one was very, kind of, I don't want to say quickly done. It took me a long time to do and put it together, but it's not an entire brand. This is kind of just a quick overview to look
Yeah.
at where I think the brand can go.
I'm blown away, brother. I hope you guys like it as well because I freaking dig it, right? This thing is sick. We got a lot of people say, "Hey, Rhett, mine's supposed to be turned on." If so, it worked. Baby boy, Austin, I'm telling you right now, I'm glad everybody's loving it. Now the old design merch package could be labeled as limited edition. Alex, that's what I was saying. I was like, "Yo," because Rob was like, "Should we make some limited editions?" I'm like, "Nah." And now we truly do. So us OGs, we got a lot of hats for you
Yeah,
guys. We got stickers. We got a lot of
anyone who
stuff.
gets that
So,
stuff now got to hold on to it. And when this thing, when we're rolling deep, 10, 20, 30K members,
yep,
everyone in here
yep.
gonna be like, yeah, I got
Hey, you
that
know what we're gonna be? We're gonna be
original.
the old breed. We're gonna be the old breed of Marwalk right here, brother.
That's
Right? It's
true.
gonna be those new heads coming in. They didn't even know, dude. I just want to say I truly do appreciate it. I was blown away because I wasn't even conceptually thinking about anything as we're moving a million miles per hour, but you did completely compartmentalize everything I wanted into a design where when I look at it, it screams it screams us. It screams community, right? It screams identity. And I think that's great because there's so many aspects that you don't need out there to tell a story. Like you said, the gold with the money, right? Because I'm trying to throw in all these elements. Well, we have to do this. I want it to make sure it feels marine, but yet money, yet blah, blah, blah. But the identity is just, it needs to be a statement piece. And what you created, brother, was a statement piece. So he went over an entire deck, guys. I'll put the video in there so you can hear the edits with it. There's a lot more that he's doing with us. I mean, we're doing insane merch, right, with this logo, and it's not going to be cheap, cheesy stuff. I mean, we really are putting a lot of heart and soul into what we have with this logo, as well as, with certain things that we're going to be putting it on and giving to you guys. It's going to be so much fun. So I appreciate everything you're doing on this, Robbie. We have some other stuff that we're cooking up as well, which we'll get into it, a little bit later when that comes to fruition. But I
Mhm.
do appreciate you spending your time here. If you guys
Yep.
at all want to get with Robbie about a logo, about concept art, about what you're doing, I highly recommend it. Whether it's going to be when it comes down to personal brand identity or your business, it's well worth it. And this is why we're in this community, right? We're in this community to open our mouths because closed mouths do not get fed. Robbie got in here. We saw what we had. He ended up talking shop about what he does. We leaned into what it is, and that was only a week ago. And now we're moving forward on multiple things because we move a million miles per hour. That's what we're here to do. We're here to help each other out, not leave the Marine to the left or right of us, and be able to start winning together. So I love the fact that we're winning with you right now, Robbie, and I appreciate you jumping on, brother.
Yeah, happy to be here. I appreciate the, everything so far and, being able to do this and talk shop with you. It's a lot of fun. I think the new MARWOC look is nice. It's got that firm, tough boldness to it. And, it also has that professional aspect for scaling down the line and it's gonna hold strong over time. And I'm excited to see where it goes. And anyone else, I don't charge for my opinion. I know some people do,
Hey,
but I don't. So if you want me to look at anything, I mean, if I'm slammed, it might take me a day or two to get back to you. But genuinely, if you want me to look at something, I have no problems doing that. I'll give you feedback, what works, what doesn't, and I'll let you know.
let's
But
do
yeah,
it.
that's and if you take what I say and then go to someone else, I don't hold any hard feelings or anything, that's totally fine with me, but I'm totally happy to give you my opinion on your branding or your logo or what you're wanting to do.
I love it. Robbie, I appreciate it. I'm going to be signing off on the recording. I'm going to stay on for just a couple minutes. That way we can start asking some questions if we got any for you. But hey, another beautiful Wealth Ops Wednesday. Robbie, I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.